Whoops, what the fuck did I just do? Yeah. I did that on purpose. Maybe. That would make the world's worst DJ, I swear to God. Good morning and welcome to the ghetto-fied morning brew. Why is it ghetto-fied? Because I tried several tests yesterday to see if I could stream through OBS, and the computer resources like the CPU kept tapping out at 100%. So there will be no OBS. I don't know when there will be an OBS or if there will be an OBS on this computer, but hopefully something has to happen before August 1st, because apparently August 1st is when Hangouts is going bye-bye. So if they go bye-bye before I can either get more memory for this laptop or an actual streaming rig, I will be screwed yet again. So, but it is the 4th of July. Happy Independence Day. This was the day that we gave England the middle finger, but it is not the day that we actually wrote it and signed it. There are several streams from last night to this morning. Monkey in the Morning and P Dog Night did a reading of the Declaration of Independence. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take us back in time, and I'm going to give us a little bit of history and throw some facts at you. Stayed up all night with a cat. Okay. So before we do that, let's see how many people are here this morning. Panina was first, and we have Green Thunder Demighty. I saw Straight Sith Male here, Reality Check, and then Hellbound is going to bed. So according to this, we have a total of how many people watching me this morning? 5 so far. Cool. Don't forget to like it and share it. Don't forget, especially share it out to all your social media, because, YouTube is not going to do it. And I have included in the description section on how to do quote unquote ghetto streamlabs and why the ghetto streamlabs is necessary. For those of you that do not know, I left the partner program, which is why there is no super chat button there because I refuse to give YouTube any money. Two, Google decided, hey Rico, Google decided that they were going to suspend my brand account. And when a brand account is suspended, you can't link it to Nightbot, Streamlabs, or any of those services that actually shill shit for you. So there's that. So if you'd like to support me, all the links are in the description. So let's get to the history of the Declaration of Independence. Rico came over from the P-Dog Night stream, so he knows that it's already been read. So let's get down to the history. In U.S. history, the Declaration of Independence in U.S. history document that was approved by the Continental Congress on July 4th, 1776, and then announced the separation of the 13 North American British colonies from Great Britain. It explained why Congress on July 2nd, unanimously by the votes of 12 colonies, with New York abstaining, Morning Sarah Lee had resolved that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states. Accordingly, the day on which final separation was officially voted was July 2nd, although the 4th, the day on which the Declaration of Independence was adopted, has always been celebrated in the United States as the great national holiday, the 4th of July, or Independence Day. On April 19th, 1775, when the battles of Lexington and Concord initiated armed conflict between Britain and the 13 colonies, the nucleus of the future United States, the Americans claimed that they sought only their rights within the British Empire. At that time, few of the colonists consciously desired to separate from Britain. As the American Revolution proceeded during 1775 to 76, and Britain undertook to assert its sovereignty by means of large armed forces, making only a gesture toward conciliation, the majority of the Americans increasingly came to believe that they must secure their rights outside the empire. The losses and restrictions that came from the war greatly widened the breach between the colonies and the mother country. Moreover, it was necessary to assert independence in order to secure as much French aid as possible. On April 12, 1776, the Revolutionary Convention of North Carolina specifically authorized its delegates in the Congress to vote for independence. On May 15th, the Virginia Convention constructed its deputies to offer the motion that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states, which was brought forward in the Congress by Richard Henry Lee on June 7th. John Adams of Massachusetts seconded the motion. By that time, the Congress had already taken long steps toward severing ties with Britain. It had denied parliamentary sovereignty over the colonies as early as December 6, 1775, and on May 10, 1776, it had advised the colonies to establish governments of their own choice and declared it to be absolutely irreconcilable to reason and good conscience for the people of these colonies. Now take to the oaths and affirmations necessary for the support of any government under the crown of Great Britain. Those authority ought to be totally suppressed and taken over by the people, a determination which, as Adams said, inevitably involved a struggle for absolute independence. The passage of Lee's resolution was delayed for several reasons. Some of these delegates had not yet received authorization to vote for separation. A few were opposed to taking the final step, and several men, among them John Dickinson, believed that the formation of a central government, together with attempts to secure foreign aid, should precede it. However, a committee consisting of Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Roger Sherman, and Robert R. Livingston was promptly chosen on June 11th to prepare a statement justifying the decision to assert independence should it be taken. The document was prepared, and on July 1st, 9 delegations voted for separation despite warm opposition on the part of Dickinson. On the following day, at the Pennsylvania State House, now Independence Hall, in Philadelphia, with the New York delegation abstaining only because it lacked permission to act, the Lee resolution was voted on and endorsed. The Convention of New York gave its consent on July 9th, and the New York delegates voted affirmatively on July 15th. On July 19th, the Congress ordered the document to be engrossed as the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America, and it was accordingly put on parchment, probably by Timothy Matlack of Philadelphia. Members of the Congress present on August 2nd affixed their signatures to this parchment copy on that day and others later. The signers are as follows. Oh, okay, that list ain't too long. John Hancock, which was the biggest signature, Samuel Adams, John Adams, Robert Treat Payne, and Elbridge Gerry of Massachusetts, Button Gwinnett, Lyman Hall, and George Walton of Georgia, William Hooper, Joseph Hughes, and John Penn of North Carolina, Edward Rutledge, Thomas Hayward Jr., Thomas Lynch Jr., and Arthur Middleton of South Carolina, Samuel Chase, William Paca, Thomas Stone, and Charles Carroll of Maryland, George Wythe, Richard Henry Lee, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Harrison, Thomas Nelson Jr., Francis Lightfoot Lee, and Carter Braxton of Virginia, Robert Morris, Benjamin Rush, Benjamin Franklin, John Morton, George Clymer, James Smith, George Taylor, James Wilson, and George Ross of Pennsylvania. Morning, Ronan. Caesar Rodney and George Reed of Delaware, William Floyd, Philip Livingston, Francis Lewis, and Lewis Morris of New York, Richard Stockton, John Witherspoon, Francis Hopkinson, John Hart, and Abraham Clark of New Jersey, Josiah Bartlett, William Whipple, and Matthew Thornton of New Hampshire, Stephen Hopkins and William Ellery of Rhode Island, and Roger Sherman, Samuel Huntington, William Williams, and Oliver Walcott of Connecticut. The last signer was Thomas McKean of Delaware, whose name was not placed on the document before 1777. So those were the people that signed it. Now, here's some facts you may or may not know about the Declaration of Independence. Let me see if I can zoom this puppy in. No, in, not out, in. Thank you. Everybody's got to be able to see it. All right. There is something written on the back of the Declaration of Independence, but it isn't a secret map or code. Instead, there are a few handwritten words that say Original Declaration of Independence, dated 4th July, 1776. No one knows who wrote this, but it was probably added as a label when the document was rolled up for storage many years ago. Once the Declaration of Independence had been written and signed, printer John Dunlop was asked to make about 200 copies to be distributed throughout the colonies. Today, the Dunlap broadsides are extremely rare and valuable. In 1989, someone discovered a previously unknown Dunlap broadside. It sold for over $8 million in 2000. There are only 26 known surviving Dunlap broadsides today. Although Thomas Jefferson is often called the author of the Declaration of Independence, he wasn't the only person who contributed important ideas. Jefferson was a member of a five-person committee appointed by the Continental Congress to write the Declaration. The committee included Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, Robert Livingston, and Roger Sherman. Robert Livingston, one of the members of the committee who wrote the Declaration of Independence, never signed it. He believed that it was too soon to declare independence and therefore refused to sign. One of the most widely held misconceptions about the Declaration of Independence is that it was signed on July 4th, 1776. In fact, independence was formally declared on July 2nd of that year, a date that John Adams believed would be the most memorable epocha in the history of America. On July 4th, 1776, Congress approved the final text of the Declaration. It wasn't signed until the 2nd of August of 1776. After Jefferson wrote his final draft on the Declaration, the other members of the Declaration Committee and the Continental Congress made 86 changes to Jefferson's draft, including shortening the overall length by more than a fourth. When writing the first draft of the Declaration, Jefferson primarily drew upon two sources: his own draft of a preamble to the Virginia Constitution and George Mason's draft of Virginia's Declaration of Rights. Jefferson was quite unhappy about some of the edits made to his original draft of the Declaration of Independence. He had originally included language condemning the British promotion of the slave trade, even though Jefferson himself was a slave owner. This criticism of slave trade was removed in spite of Jefferson's objections. On December 13, 1952, the Declaration of Independence, along with the Constitution and Bill of Rights, was formally delivered to the National Archives in Washington, D.C., where it has remained since then. The two youngest signers of the Declaration of Independence were both from South Carolina. Thomas Lynch Jr. and Edward Rutledge of South Carolina were both born in 1749 and were only 26 when they signed the Declaration. Most of the other signers were in their 40s and 50s. Philosopher John Locke's ideas were an important influence on the Declaration of Independence. Thomas Jefferson restated Locke's contract theory of government when he wrote in the Declaration that governments derived, quote, their just powers from the consent of the people, unquote. Thomas Jefferson and John Adams both died on July 4th, 1826, the 50th anniversary of the vote to approve the Declaration of Independence. Some of the most famous lines in Declaration of Independence were inspired by Virginia's Declaration of Rights by George Mason. Mason said, all men are born equally free and independent. Johnson's Declaration of Independence said, we hold these truths to be self-evident, all men are created equal. Mason's listed man's natural rights as enjoyment of life and liberty with the means of acquiring and possessing property and pursuing and obtaining happiness and safety. Jefferson listed man's inalienable rights as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. 9 of the signers of the Declaration died before the American Revolution ended in 1783. In the summer of 1776, when the Declaration was signed, the population of the nation is estimated to have been 2.5 million. Today, the population of the U.S. is more than 300 million. The oldest signer of the Declaration was Benjamin Franklin, who was born in 1706 and was therefore already 70 at the time of the Declaration. Franklin went on to help negotiate the Treaty of Alliance with France in 1778 and the Treaty of Paris, which ended the Revolutionary War in 1783. The only signer of the Declaration of Independence to survive beyond the 50th anniversary of the signing was Charles Carroll of Maryland. Carroll died in 1832 when he was 95 years old. The copy of the Declaration of Independence that is housed at the National Archives is not the draft that was approved by the Continental Congress on July 4th, 1776. Instead, it is a formal copy that the Continental Congress hired someone to make for them after the text was approved. This formal copy was probably made by Timothy Matlack, an assistant to the Secretary of Congress. This copy was signed on August 2nd, 1776. No one who signed the Declaration of Independence was born in the United States of America. The United States did not exist until after the Declaration was signed. However, all but 8 of the signers were born in colonies that would become the United States. We got 2 more to go. The first public reading of the Declaration took place on July 8, 1776, in Philadelphia. A fictional story written in the 1840s suggested that the bell, now known as the Liberty Bell, was rung that day to bring people together. However, historians now doubt that this happened. The steeple that housed the bell was in very bad condition at the time, and the bell was probably unusable. Although August 2nd, 1776 was the date of the official signing ceremony, there were several people who signed on later dates. Some of these late signers included Elbridge Gerry, Oliver Wolcott, Lewis Morris, Thomas McKean, and Matthew Thornton. And those are your history and facts of the Declaration of Independence. I hope I didn't bore you too much with that, but I figured it'd be pretty neat. Since everybody else is reading about the Declaration of reading the Declaration itself, I figured a little bit of history behind it would probably be appropriate. All right, so let me do this. Eek. You guys get to see the news app that I use on my desktop. No, we're not doing that. And I did not tell you to open that, but thanks anyway. All right, here we go. Good news all abound. Let's see if I can find that one that had, apparently not. You're welcome. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. May take a minute.
Power off.
Okay, that was the Bluetooth speaker, by the way. All right, it's the best country in the world. D-Day veteran reflects on July 4th. This is out of Channel 8, ABC News. There are heroes among us, American heroes who fought to keep the freedom we cherish so dearly. Heroes like George Spears. And in his 97 years, almost 98, Spears has seen more and done more for this country than most of us could imagine. I landed on Omaha Beach on D-Day within the first hour, Spears said. The Fort Worth native was just 22 years old, a U.S. Army staff sergeant serving in Europe when he found out he'd be part of the forces that would land on Omaha Beach in Normandy, France on June 6, 1944, better known as D-Day. We landed in about 3-4 feet of water, he recalled. It was an incredibly dangerous and deadly mission, but it was an invasion that would become the turning point in World War II. Is there any way you could have known at that time how monumental that day would be for American history? WFAA asked Spears. We didn't really know because we were just soldiers, obeyed orders, he said. We were lucky enough to visit with Spears on on the 75th anniversary of D-Day in June. We stayed there on the beach for 2 months, he said. We had to hit the ditches, and that to me was one of the most devastating deals in an airplane coming at you. Feels like yesterday, Spears continued, saying he'll never forget what he saw or experienced that day. We went along with Spears and two other World War II veterans on the D-Day anniversary to the Texas Rangers game where they were to be recognized for their heroism. These men were very young men, said Kelly Martin, who runs veteran support organization Operation Red, White, and Blue. They had to grow up really fast, she said. Martin helped organize the D-Day anniversary event with the Rangers, and at the pitcher's mound, each of the veterans stood and received a standing ovation for their service. People stood and paid their respects to the veterans until the last one had walked off the field. I'm proud of serving in the Army, proud of what we did, Spears told us. And on this 4th of July, a day where we think about our independence and the reasons for it, Staff Sergeant Spears' sacrifice is especially poignant. I'm very proud to be an American. It is the best country in the world. We do better. We better do everything we can to preserve it. Let's see here. Nope. We're doing good news first. All right, this is for Panina. 4 good things that happened in Florida this week. It's not all bad news out there. We're all stupid people in Florida. Here are a few of the good things that happened this week. Arts groups to receive $1.3 million in grant funding. I woke up this morning with a sense of pride. I'm proud of my father, even though he was a radical libertarian, had the Constitution and Bill of Rights framed in my house as a child. Cool. Yep, for you. It's no secret that arts and cultural organizations significantly boost our local economy. Now, 15 Brevard arts groups will receive much needed support in the form of $1.3 million in matching grants included in the 2019-2020 state budget, recently approved by Governor Ron DeSantis. This is a big deal, especially considering that funding for the arts has declined by 90% over the past 5 years, according to Britt Kinnerly's full story in Florida Today. Lisa Fitzcoy, the communication manager for BCA, said the initiatives that these grants will fund range from cultural events that attract visitors to the county to capital projects that will enable renovations at our beloved theaters to arts education programs that inspire the next generation. Sand sculptors create art at Ron John Surf Shop. What better way to celebrate Cocoa Beach's most famous surf shop than with the raw materials you find on the beach? In front of Ron John Surf Shop is a sand sculpture built by local artists, and it is just so cool. Jill Harris and Thomas Coate are the owners of Sensational Sand Sculpting, based in Melbourne. They travel the world creating incredible works of art out of sand, but they brought their talents home to Brevard to commemorate the 60th anniversary of Ron John. The sculpture was built from 25 tons of sand and water and took a team of 4 sculptors a week to complete. It should stand for about 3 months, even if it rains. Let me see if we can open up a browser here to see what it looks like. Apparently not. Shit. That's the link to the surf shop. Oh, nothing much. Just reading some good news and then going into some more, There we go. Let me see. Let's click on that one. And then going into some dire stuff. I figured it was 4th of July. Let's have a little bit of fun. Trying to figure out what the sculpture looks like, but they're not showing us the sculpture. I don't want to see the merch. I want to see the sculpture. Y'all suck. Y'all just suck. I want to see the sculpture. All right. Cocoa High Chorus dreams of Carnegie Hall. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Just ask the kids in the Cocoa High School Chorus. They've been invited to travel to New York City and sing in the famous concert hall as part of the 2019 Fall Sing. Remembering 9/11 event in October in the full story for Florida Today. Olivia McKelvey writes that Cocoa High is the only Florida school invited to participate, and they've responded by having 3 week rehearsals, 3 a week rehearsals over the summer. But there are challenges. The kids' parents and choir director, Dr. Misty Martinez, have been working hard to raise the $85,000 needed to pay for the trip. Money is limited, so if we can't raise all of it in time, we won't be able to go, Martinez said. Want to help? At 6 p.m. July 4th, the group will perform at Riverfront Park Amphitheater in Cocoa. At 2 p.m. August 10th, the group will perform at the historical Cocoa Village Playhouse. Tickets are $25. Donations can also be made at GoFundMe. Okay, let's open this up and I'll put this in the chat. Distribute it. Let's help get these youngsters where they need to go. And they got $12,500. So I think they got a pretty good start, but I think if we distribute it, it'll get a lot further. What do you guys think? Let's help these guys get to Carnegie Hall. Sea turtle nesting numbers on the rise. Although we're only halfway through nesting season for loggerhead, leatherback, and green sea turtles, nest counts have already exceeded last year's numbers, according to Indian River County environmental specialist Quentin Bergman. In a story for TC Palm, Colleen Wixon writes that as of June 28th, 487 green turtle nests have been marked on the Treasure Coast, more than twice the 235 from last year. This is a big deal considering that 4 decades ago biologists thought green sea turtles might go extinct. If you live along the beach, remember that under local ordinances designed to protect sea turtle nesting until October 31st, lights visible from the beach must be shielded, repositioned, or turned off from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. Distributing a sea turtle, its nests or hatchlings is illegal. Disturbing a sea turtle, its nests or hatchlings also is illegal. To check your local beach side sea turtle ordinance, visit myfwc.com. So there we go. Those are your four good things that happened in Florida this week. All right, let's see here. I believe this is USA Today or Good Morning America. Oh, shoot, it's a video. Well, shit, okay. Sorry, I can't do videos, guys. Let me see here. Best country in the world. Oh, here we go. Baby born at Chicago police station meets honorary aunts and uncles. This was July 3rd. Oh, she precious. Several Chicago police officers had a heartwarming reunion on Tuesday with the baby they helped bring into the world on Easter. Kalia Stokes and her father were on their way to Comer Children's Hospital on April 21st after she went into labor, when they realized her baby wasn't going to wait. Her dad pulled up in front of the 3rd District Police Station at 70th and Cottage Grove and got help from several officers who helped deliver baby Ava in the family car. The officers were able to secure the baby and release the umbilical cord from around the baby's neck until EMS arrived on scene. I was so scared, but at the same time I was happy, Kalia said to me. That is great to know that she has police officers that will protect and love her. Yep, the cuteness. Officers from Chicago, CAPS-03, helped deliver a baby girl on Easter Sunday. Today, the girl's mother and grandfather reunited with the officers who jumped into action to help deliver the newborn baby girl. That's what they tweeted out, I believe. On Tuesday, Kalia and her father brought Ava back to the 3rd District Station to meet her CPD family. She might not know it yet, but she has a bunch of police officers that are honorary uncles and aunts, said Officer Geraldine Hutchinson. The officers also threw a surprise baby shower to give Ava some important and fun gifts she and her mom will need. Her grandfather said someday he'll tell little Ava the story of how she became his all-time favorite Easter blessing. This is something that I can tell her for years to come, he said. And the point is that she also messed the whole front seat of my car. That's something else I can also tell her. Leave it to grandpa's. Leave it to grandpa's. Hoofy. Let's see. As I look for other good news stories to read, don't forget all links to support me are in the description, especially the PayPal link and instructions on how to give me a ghetto Streamlabs. All right, here we go. Church says it pays off medical debt for nearly 2,000 families. Now, here's something you don't hear every day. A Michigan church said it raised enough money to pay off. I know it is, isn't it? It is. A Michigan church said it raised enough money to pay off the medical debt of nearly 2,000 struggling families. Sam, whose last name I'm not going to attempt, pastor of Grand Rapids, first in Wyoming, Michigan, said the church purchased more than $1.8 million worth of medical debt for less than a penny on the dollar through a nonprofit group. There are people whose medical debt they cannot pay. There's no way. It's looming over their head. Last name, who I can't pronounce, said during Sunday's service, most of these folks are in poverty levels or below poverty levels, and there's no way it can be repaid, but they feel the creditor banging on their doors. Today, that $1,832,439.26 that's looming over the families right now, those families are living in poverty rates or less, has been paid in full as a result of a gift from this church. Antifa's First Amendment rights being violated? Probably. It depends. I don't know. Okay. What's her first name? Because Jesus Christ. Okay. Reverend Sam said the debt was paid off by Rest in Peace Medical Debt, a nonprofit group that says it has abolished more than $624 million in medical debt since its creation in 2014, according to its website. The organization eliminated the medical debt of 1,899 local families using the church's donation, according to Sam. The families were from 4 Michigan counties: Kent, Ottawa, Allegan, and Ionia. And the largest debt paid off was $75,581, according to the church. Hi, Unchained. They owe us nothing, Reverend Sam said. We can be peacemakers just as Jesus forgave and canceled the debt of our sins. We also cancel the debt of those in our community. So let's see here. This was July 2nd. Woman reunited with son 6 years after he vanished. Yep. The pictures and footage only scratch the surface of the tale. Wide smiles and the tears of joy of a mother and her son reunited after 6 years. 6 years ago, Jane Daniels, 60, from Delft near Cape Town, South Africa, was distraught when her son, who is mentally challenged, disappeared. When the police came up with no leads after 3 years, Denzel was presumed dead and a memorial service was held. But 2 weeks ago, police in the neighboring county of Eswatini, formerly called Swaziland, carried out a routine stop and search of a man who was found rummaging through trash outside a supermarket. He gave them an address in Delft, the Daniels' home. The Eswatini police sent a photo of Denzel to the Cape Police Missing Persons Unit, and Warrant Officer Michael Daniels, no relation, took it to Mrs. Daniels and asked her if she knew the man in the photo. Officer Daniels didn't expect the reaction he received. My heart is going out for her. We should help this woman because when we brought the news to say your child is in Swaziland, she just fainted, he said. But Mrs. Daniels couldn't afford to make the 2,200-mile round trip to collect her son, who now 30, who is being looked after by Eswatini police. Fortunately, radio and multimedia journalist Lauren Isaacs of South Africa's Eyewitness News came to the rescue. A Delft pastor appealed to Isaacs for help, and the reporter visited the mother. I saw the desperation on her and her poor circumstances, Isaacs told Fox News. For 3 days, I called businesses begging for money. In 90% of missing persons cases, it doesn't end well. It gets to us. I needed to get help for this family. The reporter also called humanitarian aid group The Gift of Givers, who not only agreed to become the main funders of the trip, but even provided the son with new clothes. There were no direct road transport links between Eswatini and Cape Town, so warrant official Daniels and a police colleague took vacation time and used the policeman's private car for the 2-day journey to reunite mother and son at the border. On seeing her son, Jane repeatedly hugged him and kept saying, my son, I'm so happy to see you. Denzel, for his part, said he had hitchhiked to Eswatini where he made friends and did odd jobs to make a living. I helped some people to earn some money selling clothes and stuff like that. I missed my family. Later, he explained to News 24, I wasn't actually going to Swaziland. I was in Wellington, and then I moved further and further. He added that he now hopes to find work and act as the family's breadwinner after his father died 2 years ago. Officer Daniel said he'd go the extra thousands of miles again in his car in a heartbeat People are very negative about the police, but there are good police officers who go out of their way to help the community. So here we go. And there you have it. All right, there is the good news. Ha! All right, one last story before we move on to the serious stuff. He's 100. She's about to turn 103. And they just got married. Oh, wow. Okay. Newlyweds John and Phyllis Cook are celebrating their new lives together at their Ohio senior living facility. John is a World War II veteran who just turned 100. Phyllis will turn 103 on August 8th. Longevity runs in Phyllis Cook's family. Her mother also lived well into her 100s. The couple went to the courthouse to get their marriage license last week and found out they could get married on the spot. It wasn't the plan, but we got here and they said we could marry you here. And I said, good, let's get it over with. It wasn't a rash decision. They'd been dating for about a year before they tied the knot. To tell you the truth, we fell in love with each other. I know you think that may be a little bit far-fetched for somebody our age, but we fell in love with each other, Phyllis Cook told WNWO. Both Cooks had lost two spouses in the past and feeling lucky to have found love a third time. We were just compatible in a whole lot of ways, found ourselves enjoying each other's company, John Cook said. They spent their days together enjoying meals, sitting in the sun, and zipping down the halls of Kingston residents of Sylvania in their mobility scooters, but they also give each other space. We do what we do, we keep both of our apartments. He's upstairs and I'm down, Phyllis Cook said. The couple's plans to keep busy and enjoy their time together. Hey, Ghost Dog, how you doing? Okay. Ooh. All right. So that's the good news. Let me see if I can find the stuff. Yeah. It'll get there. It'll get there. It'll get there. Let's see here. So, do you guys want me to read the Can't News Network version of the parade or the USA Yesterday's version of the parade? I'll give you guys the choice on that one. Number one for Can't News Network, number two for USA Yesterday. Let's see here. Finance 101, give me a break. You are loved. You are my adopted daughter. You are loved. You hush. All right. What are you barking at? Trying to act all important and stuff. Come here. Come here. Come here, baby girl. What? I'm adorable. All right, before we get into the news, let me see if I can turn on my cam without taxing out my computer. So all of you get your daily dose of puppy. I'm sure some of you want to see the puppy. So there is. There's the camera. And there's my face with my messed up hair. Let me see if I can get the puppy. Come here, Ruby Sue. Come here, girl. Come here. Oh, come here. Ruby Sue the pirate pooch. Yes, no, I know. People want to see you though, Ruby Sue. Say hi. Say hi. I am Ruby Sue the pirate pooch. And happy 4th of July, everybody. Happy 4th of July. Yes, I know. I love you too. I love you too. This is Ruby Sue, the pirate pooch, who is not slowed down in the least by the fact that she is missing an eyeball. I still have all the movies I had from last year's 4th of July. Oh, okay. Cool. What? Yep, doggo. This is Ronan and mine's doggo. She's going to make, at least she's going to make appearances. Oh, that yawn that's bigger than her whole entire face. Yes, this is Ruby Sue the pirate pooch. Yep, there she is. Our little Ruby Sue. Yes, ma'am. Kisses? I love you too. Ruby Sue to say yar. She's the first dog that I know that in the middle of her barking will literally say ruff. Nope, she is a Boston Terrier. She's a little Boston Terrier. So yeah. She will be barking and all of a sudden you hear ruff, ruff. And it's like, really? You say rough? I didn't think dogs said rough. All right, here we go. USA Yesterday. I call them USA Yesterday because they don't publish on Saturdays and Sundays. So by the time we get around to Monday, it's yesterday's news. Let's see. Thousands will be gathering Thursday in the nation's capital to celebrate. Yeah, close. To celebrate the birth of America for its annual fireworks event, which this year will feature Army tanks, a flyover of military jets, Air Force One, and fireworks. The centerpiece, a speech from Donald Trump, the first time in decades that a president has addressed the crowd. Anything else? I pushed to quit. Thank you. But protests are expected, obviously, because it's Trump. Because Orange Man bad, y'all. Orange Man bad. The Orange Man is bad, y'all. He can't open his mouth and say shit because the Orange Man is bad. But protests are expected, and Trump is facing criticisms over the costs of the event and has been accused of injecting politics into a traditionally nonpartisan event. This year's celebration won't just attract tourists, Washington, D.C. residents, and families looking to observe the holiday. Both protesters and supporters of the president are descending to the heart of the nation's capital and potentially putting the patriotic holiday on a collision course for partisan fights. Because, people just can't, have fun. Oh, shit. My mouse is dying and I don't have money for batteries. Okay, so that's going to be happening a lot. He's a Cheeto Fuhrer. Yeah. Trump was undeterred Thursday, posting a promotional treats for what he called one of the biggest celebrations in the history of our country. Salute to America, an all-day event at the Lincoln Memorial, culminating with large-scale flyovers of the most modern and advanced aircraft anywhere in the world. Perhaps even Air Force One will do a low and loud sprint over the crowd. That will start at 6 p.m. Be there early. Then at 9 p.m., a great, to put it mildly, fireworks display. Speak on behalf of our great country. Give me the giggles. I have no clue. So yeah, they're obviously because Orange Man bad. It's something not usually featured in the nation's capital for the 4th of July, but several protests are planned, including gatherings for a flag burning and a baby Trump blimp, which has been approved according to rumor. The liberal activist organization Code Pink is planning to inflate a baby Trump blimp depicting an orange-hued Trump in a diaper clutching a Twitter-ready cell phone in his right hand. It has become a fixture at major protests, including recently in London at the U.S. and at the U.S.-Mexico border. Yeah, red state. Yay, right? Activists will also bring a 16-foot-tall dumping Trump robot featuring the president sitting on a golden toilet, wearing a MAGA-style hat saying, "Make America Great Again, impeach me." Because people just can't fucking have fun and enjoy a holiday. Oh my God. 2 military veterans groups are also planning to hand out t-shirts on the mall to honor the military service and sacrifice of the family of John McCain, the late GOP senator with whom Trump has feuded. Vote Vets, a liberal political action committee, a PAC, that almost exclusively backs Democratic candidates, according to Open Secrets. How is him doing? I don't know. I don't know. That exclusively backs Democratic candidates, according to Open Secrets, is teaming up with Rags of Honor, a screen printing shop that employs homeless veterans, to give out the Big Bad John shirts depicting the USS John S. McCain. There is also a flag-burning protest planned, which was organized by Gregory Lee Johnson, the man at the center of the 1984 U.S. Supreme Court case that held the burning of the U.S. flag as constitutionally protected free speech. I am going to D.C. on the 4th of July, and I'm going to burn the flag in protest of his whole fascist agenda, because you just can't fucking enjoy the holiday, can you? No. You just can't, right? It's impossible. Johnson told USA Today before the event, think about all Trump has done to whip people into... No. It's you people on the left whipping people into a frenzy because you take shit, you twist it to the point where it is false, and then you shove it down everybody's throats repeatedly until the sheep believe it, and then the sheep try and make everybody else believe it, and then the shit just rolls downhill. Trump didn't start this shit. You regressive left fuckers did. Gee. Okay, that was a rant. Sorry. Criticisms over Price politicizing the holiday. Critics and lawmakers, including several candidates in the 2020 White House race, have attacked the president for the extravaganza amid questions about its expense and concerns that he's politicizing the annual celebration. Many have focused on a report from the Washington Post that the National Park Service was diverting nearly $2.5 million in entrance and recreation fees, primarily intended to improve parks across the country to help cover the costs. An aide who was not authorized to speak publicly about the plans told USA Today a preliminary estimate for transporting and displaying the military tanks is about $870,000. Yeah, I don't agree with burning the flag, but if it's constitutional, it's constitutional. AP domestic military equipment in place for Trump's July 4th President Donald. Fuck. What the hell? Edit. This sentence just made my brain go, what the fuck did you write? AP domestic military equipment in place for Trump's July 4th President Donald Trump is marshaling. Okay, this whole sentence needs to be redone. I don't know what your editors are smoking over there in USA yesterday, but that is a fucked up sentence. So I'm going to forget all this up here. President Donald Trump is marshaling tanks, bombers, and other machinery of war for a 4th of July celebration that traditionally is light on military might, while critics accuse him of using America's military as a political prop. Period after the fight. Exactly. And hi, fuckwad. Lord have mercy. Now, Jay, from what I understand from yesterday, from watching a Lords of the Night yesterday, the last person to do this kind of parade was JFK. And he had missiles, not tanks. France uses tanks, but, France doesn't have a Trump, so apparently it's okay for France, but not okay for us. Happy kingdom out there. Yep. 2020 candidates use the event as a line of attack on the president because we have to, he can't do shit right. So here we go. A sign that the celebration had become a partisan flashpoint. Senator Michael Bennet of Colorado, had to be from Colorado, said the program was a political spectacle at the expense of taxpayers and our national parks. Marianne Williamson said that watching tanks on the streets of the nation's capital was heartbreaking and repugnant. Andrew Yang said politicizing the military for Independence Day was costly and would set a terrible precedent. But Trump has defended the celebration and dismissed criticisms on Twitter, saying it will be the show of a lifetime. The cost of our salute to America tomorrow will be very little compared to what it is worth, Trump wrote. We own the planes, we have the pilots, the airport is right next door, Andrews Air Force Base. All we need is the fuel. We own the tanks and all. Fireworks are donated by two of the greats. Nice. Okay. One of those people is one of the people that lobbied against Trump for the tariffs on China. That came out earlier this morning before I started this. So yeah, you have this. Now, the only issue I see with this, okay, is if he does use these expenditures and these resources and has this kind of parade, and then he opens his mouth for a speech that is highly politically charged and borders on campaigning, he could be breaking or he could be breaking the Hatch Act, which is set in place to prevent all that. And my mouse died again, which means the batteries in the mouse are dying. All right, so MWM Media, all of its content and sister channels are made possible by viewers like you. Please go to the description, click on the PayPal link to donate to me today. Instructions on how to do a Ghetto Streamlabs is also included in the description. Don't forget to like the stream. If you don't like it, that's what that thumbs down button is for. That subscription button does something I haven't figured out yet. And that bell that acts like a woman on PMS, yeah, hit that too if you want to be notified every now and again when I go live. The morning brew for the time being is back. It will be starting at 10:30 CST in the morning, which is 11:30 for you people on the East Coast. And it is 6 hours. 6 hours. So 10:30 to 2:30 is 5:30 over there in Britain. So yeah, 5:30 over there in Britain. So there you go. All the ways to support my channel are listed in the description. So now we're going back. All right, so here we go. Let me see. Search, interest, and web. How about Mad Magazine? Nope. Hang on. This is those moments that I should have kept the link. My sources, because it's around here somewhere. iPad and the geeks and the Nokias and my president went to North Korea and all I got was this lousy tea. Hi, Slate. How you doing? Oh, brother. Get the fourth out. Oh, cool. Thank you, Unchained, for the $5 donation. There was something. I know I saw something about Mad Magazine clothing. Yay. All right, cool. I love email notifications. All right, let's see if it's under U.S. news. It might be under business news. Oh, to hell. Let's come over here and do a search. Shall we do a search? We'll do a search. Because I saw it this morning in the app. All right, but apparently it doesn't want to show up, which means dummy me didn't keep the link anywhere that I could find it. Yep, here it is. Outoffortune.com. Sad news for those of us that like Mad Magazine. Mad Magazine is leaving newsstands after 2/3 of a century. Yep, you heard right. Mad Magazine, once a touchstone of American satirical humor, is leaving newsstands after a 67-year history. Mad will, after August, only be available through comic stores and mail order. Former staffers and contributors revealed late Wednesday. There will still be bi-monthly issues, but they will only include vintage Mad material. The only new content will appear in end-of-year specials. Working at Mad, and there goes my mouse again. Working at Mad was a childhood dream come true. Mad is an institution with such a rich history. It informed just about every comedian and writer I, and probably you, look up to, tweeted Allie Gertz, Mad's former editor who resigned last month. Other senior editorial staff appear to have been laid off earlier this week by Warner-owned DC Entertainment, the magazine's publisher. I am profoundly sad to hear that after 67 years, Mad Magazine is ceasing publication, tweeted Weird Al Yankovic, who in 2015 was Mad's first guest editor. I can't begin to describe the impact it had on me as a young kid. It's pretty much the reason I turned out weird. Goodbye to one of the all-time greatest American institutions. #thanks, Mad. Mad was indeed incredibly influential, veering between extreme silliness, anarchic disrespect, and sharp insight. It satirized movies and TV shows, but also politics and other current events. Its Spy vs. Spy strip, created by Cuban expatriate Antonio Prohias, highlighted the absurd side of the Cold War's ideological clashes. Its fold-in back cover started as a satirical comment on the mid-1960s trend for splashy magazine fold-outs, but endured for half a century. Yep. And yeah, my mouse has died, so I'm going to have to use the pad because it keeps dying on me. It's dead. All right, cool. Yay, I got the monies. I thank you. Let me check this. Yay, another $5. Cool. So I got 2 PayPals. If I check this, I'll get those in a minute. Oh, shit. Hey, you're supposed to show up in my notifications on my phone, dipshit. You're showing up, sorta. Yep, there you are. Yep, from $5 from Ghost Dog and $5 from Unchained. I'm about to open up my my super secret email. Ooh, I'm opening up my super secret email. Shh. So okay, opening up the super secret email. That ain't so secret because everybody already knows my name because I am forever doxxed. All right. All right, here we go. And let's see here. And we have no message, just $5 from Unchained. And over here, we got another $5. Oh, that's two from Unchained. So somebody, me and me. Yep, that's two. That's $10 from Unchained so far. Thank you very much, sir. I thank you. And then we have something from Ghost Dog. Yep, it is. It is. It is very sad. It is an institution, don't you know? I don't have to wait for your email to come in so I can read. Unless you just gave me the $5. Oh, remember, if you contribute and wish to have me say something on the stream, don't forget to tag me in the live chat with the money that you donated and the little message out beside it. I'll be more than happy to read it from the live chat. But the magazine ceased to be a cultural barometer some time ago. The audience for magazines is generally smaller than it once was, and a similar satirical vein is these days found far more easily online and on TV. When President Donald Trump, a frequent target of Mad's barbs, recently mocked Pete Buttigieg by comparing his appearance with that of Mad's gap-toothed, jug-eared mascot, Alfred E. Newman catchphrase, "What, me worry?" The Democrat presidential candidate initially didn't know what Trump was talking about. Cool. I thank you guys for all of your contributions. I'll be honest, I had to Google that, Buttigieg told Politico. I guess it was just a generational thing. I didn't get the reference. Kind of funny, I guess. Mad underwent a dramatic shift at the end of 2017 when DC relocated its offices from Manhattan to Burbank, California. None of the magazine's veteran staff came along, and Mad's tone changed. For example, it carried a relatively somber spread about school shootings. DC declined to comment on reasons behind Mad's effective end. Type ones in the chat if you thought that when it moved from East Coast to West Coast, it got decidedly regressive, which killed its sales. Because that's my theory. Anything that goes to the left, far to the left, is doomed to fail. Get woke, go broke. Coined by the quartering. All right, so let's see here. U.S. news. Yep. Oh, here we go. Out of the WAPO, and I can't go to their site proper, so it's just going to have to be here. Yep, it's the shoes. It's got to be the shoes. As the nation has celebrated its birthday with displays of its contemporary power and prestige, this week two of its cherished historic symbols came under fire: its first flag and its third president, because people can't keep their mouths shut. Sportswear company Nike pulled sneakers depicting the 13-star banner down, known as the Betsy Ross flag, after former NFL football player Colin Kaepernick, who has a sponsorship deal with Nike, reportedly objected. The flag, which dates the era of the 18th century slavery, has occasionally been used by white supremacists and other far-right groups because, the historical meaning of the Betsy Ross flag is lost on all these assholes. They keep finding racism and everything. But I digress. Woosah, we move on. And the city's council in Charlottesville, where Thomas Jefferson's Monticello plantation is located, voted this week to scrap the former president's local holiday in favor of one that celebrates the emancipation of African slaves because he owned slaves. Because, slavery is bad, which it is. The twin moves opened new fronts in the culture war that President Trump foreshadowed 2 years ago after white nationalists marched through Charlottesville to protest the proposed removal of a statue. Okay, they went there to have a peaceful protest so that the statue of General E. Lee would stay standing and preserved for a historical monument purpose. Not to fly in the face of people who don't like slavery, because people don't realize that Robert E. Lee didn't want to fight in the goddamn war. He did it to protect his fellow people. That's it. He didn't want to fight. He didn't want to be in a war. He didn't much less want to be the general in the fucking war. He didn't want to fight. He did it because he had to. He didn't own any slaves. But that's lost on people because slavery and the South and white supremacy. Leave it to the fact that even though there were groups out there that wanted to preserve the history of the statue, you had Antifa coming in, which they never fucking admit was there, that started a fight. I did a blog post on this, okay? I found the Antifa website where they said they were expressly going to go there to start shit with the group that was going to go there to prevent the removal of the statue. But, facts lost on these people because my fifis, y'all, my fifis. Sad to see the history and culture of our great country being ripped apart with the removal of our beautiful statues and monuments, Trump tweeted. Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, who's next? Washington? Jefferson? Oh, don't give them ideas. The nation's growing diversity and polarization has prompted an outcry over the stain of slavery and a reckoning with some of America's most identifiable historic symbols. The debate over which figures and monuments are to be celebrated and which condemn this shift from the emblems of the fallen Confederacy to those that are fundamental to the nation's origin. The giants of U.S. history are being taken off their pedestals, both literally and figuratively, to be examined, warts and all, because we have to erase the bad part of history, right? That's the way it works with these people. Anything that they're offended by has to be revised. Different groups have different perspectives on how their ancestors were treated, historian Jarrett Ruminski said. When people say there's too much historical revisionism, they don't realize that professional historians are revising history all the time. It doesn't mean facts change, but it's an ongoing process. It never stops. And before Martin Luther King Jr. becomes problematic due to being a Christian, it seems to be going that way. How much you want to bet if he did that same "I have a dream" speech today, he'd probably get shit thrown at him because he preached colorblindness and true equality. But they don't want that today. That's impossible. They don't want that today. Break. Let me see. The battle to reframe American history has targeted various mementos, including statues in public parks and the names of buildings at private universities. In 2017, Yale University renamed Calhoun College, which commemorated former Vice President John Calhoun, a vigorous supporter of slavery. Later that year, Trump was widely criticized for moving into the Oval Office a portrait of President Andrew Jackson, who drove Native Americans from their ancestral lands in the forced exodus known as the Trail of Tears. I think the Boondocks had an episode in which they exact same thing. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Across the country, state Democratic organizations have been changing the name of the annual Jefferson Jackson Day fundraising celebration, a move that South Bend Mayor and Democratic presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg recently endorsed. You develop and evolve on the things that you choose to honor, he said earlier this year in an interview with the Hugh Hewitt Show. The shift has encountered pushback after Nike pulled its Betsy Ross flag shoe. Arizona Governor State Ducey called for state authorities. Ooh, another $5 from Ghost Dog. Thank you, sweetheart. Or maybe that's the same $5. I have no clue. Okay. Arizona, said they offered the shoe company to open a factory there. And on Thursday, State Majority Leader Mitch McConnell tweeted, "Happy 4th of July" with a picture of the now controversial flag because, 13 stars is controversial. In Charlottesville, the decision to replace the April 13th observation of Thomas Jefferson's there it is. Called for the state authorities to revoke financial incentives. Didn't read that part. That they had offered the shoe company to open a factory there. Whoopsie. In Charlottesville, the decision to replace the April 13th observation of Thomas Jefferson's birthday with Liberation and Freedom Day on March 3rd faced little challenge. Okay, fine. City Manager Teron Richardson said the decision was prompted by the Unite the Right rally. That's the people that were there first. A peaceful rally until, it's probably the same $5. A peaceful rally until Antifa showed up and that idiot got scared and ran over a woman. I mean, the events of August 2017 have challenged Charlottesville to confront its history and to acknowledge that this community has not always embraced all of our citizens as equals, wrote Richardson, who is black. It has changed. I love how they put that, who is black. You just can't stop at Richardson. You got to put that he's black. It has changed the priorities for our work, serving the community on issues from affordable housing to a living wage for our employees. We want Charlottesville to be known as a community that has learned important lessons from our long and complex racial history. So, yeah. So, there you go. If you want to read any more about it, I'll copy this link, and I hope to link her over here. Come on. Thank you. Oh, shit. Just paste. Paste it. We will paste it somehow. Yeah, that's how slow. It's not lag. That's how slow my computer is nowadays. Because, Windows 10 can't stop with their updates. Every time you sneeze, there's another update. All right, here we go. Not reading the propaganda from Time. Let's see. Viewer's Guide to the 4th, Declaration of Independence, full text. Yep, that's been read a couple of times this morning. That's why I went into the history of it at the beginning. Let me see here. Oh, here we go. Here's some more history out of the National Geographic. Red, White, and Boom. How fireworks came to America. In case any of you guys want to know. And I accidentally closed out the app because I'm an idiot. It's hard to snap shit over here. And there we are. I'm trying to hit this so I don't. There we go. As dusk sets on the 4th of July, bursts of light, movement, and color bedazzle America's skies. Fireworks, thousands of which launched from municipal festivals and backyards each Independence Day, are, for some citizens of the United States, quintessential emblems of nationalism. But what makes these illuminations so patriotic? And how do the very first fireworks compare to the ones we launch today? Yeah. Well, the first fireworks were not American at all. Chinese roots. Around 200 BC, millennia before Europeans landed in North America, people in Liyuan, China, created fireworks by tossing bamboo stalks into pits of fire. Some say the resulting noise was intended to ward off evil spirits. Then, fast forward to 600 AD, Chinese alchemists took the practice a step further by devising a gunpowder remedy from substances like charcoal, sulfur, and potassium, which they stuffed inside the bamboo shoots and lit with a torch. This was later used as weaponry in the form of missiles. As more cultures experimented with gunpowder, fireworks soared over borders and seas. European countries like Italy and Great Britain produced fireworks in the Middle Ages, albeit without bamboo, on holidays and occasions like royal weddings, coronations, and birthdays. And a year after the United States of America declared independence on July 4, 1776, accounts from both John Adams and the Virginia Gazette say former colonists launched fireworks to celebrate. Family affairs. The vibrant aerial displays that impress crowds today were derived in the 1830s, when the Italians combined metals with explosives to develop colored fireworks. Around this time, family businesses such as Fireworks by Grucci and Zambelli Fireworks, now two of the United States' largest and oldest firework companies, made modest names for themselves in Bari and Caserta in Italy, respectively. These Italian firework families participated in activities like single shell competitions, rocketing one firework into the sky and selecting a winner based on factors like design, sound, size, and color, says Phil Grucci, chief executive of Fireworks by Grucci. By arranging the elements in different orders within the shell casing, the Italians also created recognizable shapes and drawings in the sky, like Gucci adds an American flag. And then, starting in the late 1800s, aerial fireworks migrated to the United States through the same passage as more than 12 million others, Ellis Island. My second great-grandfather and my second great-uncle came through Ellis Island with a shoebox full of formulas and a dream, Grucci says. Not even a dollar, but a dream. George Zambelli Sr. faithfully stowed his pyrotechnic dream in a similar way. He bound Zambelli's firework formula inside a small black notebook, which stays locked in the family safe to this day, says George Zambelli Jr., chairman of Zambelli Fireworks. Both businesses remain family run and have performed at multiple presidential inaugurations and 4th of July celebrations. Fireworks go high tech. But while boxes and booklets still govern the foundation of Italian displays, modern designs and technologies are taking fireworks to new heights. Literally. The generation that I grew up with, the fifth generation, saw the industry and the art form and the display and the technique go from lighting something with a flare, like you'd see on the side of the road, to lighting fireworks with electronics with a push of a button, Grucci says. He now sets off fireworks from laptop computers. The more outlandish, out of the box, exciting ideas that come along, the technology has got to be able to support that, Grucci adds. You're always allowing the design to drive the technology, not the other way around. On January 1st, 2018, Grucci and his team fired the world's largest firework off the Burj Khalifa building in Dubai. The firework weighed 2,397 pounds and reached an apex of almost 4,000 feet. Risks of the fun. Fireworks in other countries can be larger and more elaborate than in the United States, Grucci says. Back in the States, however, consumer firework sales have been skyrocketing since 2000, says Julie Heckman, executive director of American Pyrotechnics Association. Massachusetts is the only state that prohibits the sale of consumer fireworks, and I don't think John Adams would be very happy, Heckman says. But complying with government regulations and new tariffs poses challenges to family firework businesses across all states, many of which have stopped manufacturing or putting on shows altogether, Heckman says. Most of the regulations relate to environmental protection or health hazards from unsafe use. Zambelli, who works as an ophthalmologist by day, is well aware of the physical dangers of fireworks. He has treated a few firework injuries in his time. He advises consumers to wear goggles and to set off shells one at a time, but ironically expects the number would be higher had he not been in the firework industry. I'm not on call over the 4th of July, Zambelli says, because on the week of the 4th, all hands are on deck. Designers are sketching new displays and scoring shows to match musical arrangements. Drivers are loading trucks and hauling shells to different launch sites across the country. Managers are coordinating schedules with partners and state police, and technicians are fine-tuning their systems for the dusk launch. It's a labor of love, Zambelli says. I had my 2-year-old grandson at a major display in the Pittsburgh area a couple of weeks ago, and you should have seen him light up at a spectacular fireworks display. He puts his hand up in the air and boom, 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 boom. It's definitely in the blood. When you're born in this family, you're introduced to the art form when you're an infant. When you're in the fetal state, Grucci says. You live, eat, hear, and speak nothing but fireworks. Zambelli Fireworks will display 800 shows across the United States the week of the 4th. Fireworks by Grucci will perform at the 2019 Salute to America Festival at the Lincoln Memorial along with Phantom Fireworks. So there is your history on fireworks and how they came to the United States. And the two families behind all the spectacular displays. Well, most of the spectacular displays. Oh, let's see here. Ooh, history of the flag. All right, this will be in pictures. So here are the 27 different U.S. flags and how they got that way. All right, as soon as I can scroll. The flag of the United States goes by different names: the Stars and Stripes, the Red, White, and Blue, Old Glory, and the Star-Spangled Banner. Regardless of what it is called, the American flag is one of the most recognizable symbols of any country in the world and the inspiration for our national anthem. The first official national flag was approved by the Continental Congress on June 14, 1777. The resolution read, resolved that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternate red and white, that the Union be 13 stars, white, and a blue field representing a new constellation. Each star represented a state, and each stripe represented the 13 colonies that declared independence from Great Britain. The colors of the flag were inherited from British flags and have no official meaning. Since the founding of the United States in 1776, there have been 27 different versions of the flag, featuring the stars and stripes. Each new flag represented the addition of one or more states as the United States grew westward to fulfill what it believed to be its manifest destiny of expansion in North America. For Independence Day 24/7, Wall Street is taking a look at how each of these 27 flags got that way. So let's do this. Blip. Here we go. 13-star U.S. flag. The 13-star flag officially became the U.S. flag on June 14, 1777, and the date is celebrated every year in the United States as Flag Day. Though there is no conclusive proof, Francis Hopkinson, a congressman from New Jersey and a signer of the Declaration of Independence, is credited with designing the flag. Each star and stripe represented a former British colony. Years flown, 15 U.S. star flag. Years flown, 1795 to 1818. Who was president? George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and James Monroe. 2 stripes and 2 stars were added to the flag when Vermont and Kentucky became the 14th and 15th states in 1791 and 1792, respectively. The 15-star flag would last for 23 years, and 5 presidents would serve under it. This flag inspired Francis Scott Key to write the Star-Spangled Banner, our national anthem, after Key saw the flag continue to fly over Fort McHenry following a British bombardment during the War of 1812. 20-star flag. With the westward expansion of the United States and the addition of more states, the Congress realized that adding stripes to the flag would be impractical. So Congress passed the Flag Act in 1818, restoring the original 13-stripe design and unveiling the flag 4 additional stars on July 4th. 5 stars were added to represent the 5 new states: Tennessee in 1796, Ohio in 1803, Louisiana in 1812, Indiana 1816, and Mississippi 1817. The 20-star flag became the official flag on April 13, 1818, and was the first of 9 flags to only last about a year. Yep, exactly. Years flow in 1818 to 1819 with James Monroe at the helm of our country. 21 stars. Just over a year after the 20-star flag was introduced, the United States added Illinois to the Union, boosting the number of states to 21. Illinois, where future President Abraham Lincoln began his political career, was admitted on December 3rd, 1818. Oh, here we go. Oh, did I just... Nope, okay, we're doing this right. 23 stars. The number of U.S. states rose to 23 with the admission of Alabama in 1819 and Maine in 1820. The flag became the first official U.S. flag on July 4th, 1820, and would last 2 years. President James Monroe was the only president to serve under this flag, as well as the 2 previous flags. Morning, Mitch. The flag expanded to 24 stars with the addition of Missouri in 1821. Missouri, a slave state, was admitted as part of the Missouri Compromise, which sought to achieve a balance of free and slave states during the antebellum period. The compromise included the admission of Maine, a free state, which had been separated from Massachusetts and become a state previous that year. And it flew from 1822 to 1836. Presidents under this flag include James Monroe, John Quincy Adams, and Andrew Jackson. And we have go back. All right, 25 stars. Years flown, 1836 to 1837. Flag burning. I personally dislike. Yeah, me too, maniac. Arkansas joined the Union as a slave state on June 15th, 1836. Less than a month later, its star was included in the U.S. flag, pushing the state total to 25. Arkansas was part of the Louisiana Purchase and carved out what became the Missouri territory to become its own territory. 26 flag from 1837 to 1845. Michigan was admitted to the Union in 1837 as a free state to help maintain the balance between slave and free states. Michigan's admission had been thwarted because of a border dispute with Ohio, which had been admitted as a state in 1803. But President Andrew Jackson helped Michigan save face by awarding it land from the Upper Peninsula, and then it was granted statehood, boosting the number of states to 26. The flag flew from 1837 to 1845. You had Martin Van Buren, William Henry Harrison, John Tyler, and James Polk as presidents during that time. Yep, 27 stars. This is going to go a little over an hour and a half, but I don't think you guys are minding it. I guess you guys are liking the history lesson. Hit one in the chat if you're liking the history lesson this morning. 1845 to 1846, Florida, a former possession of the Spanish Empire, was admitted to the Union in 1845, raising the total number of U.S. states to 27. It would not remain in the Union for long. Florida would secede in 1861. In 1846, the flag would undergo another change, this time because of the admission of Texas. Before becoming the 28th state, the Lone Star State had broken away from Mexico in 1836. It was an independent republic before joining the Union and becoming the biggest state in landmass in the contiguous 48 states. This flag flew for 1 year with James Polk at the head of our country. All right, 29. Iowa was admitted to the Union on December 28, 1846, as a free state to maintain the balance between the free and slave states during the antebellum period. Its star was added to the U.S. flag the following July 4th. Originally part of the Louisiana Purchase, Iowa grew dramatically because of its rich farmland. Iowa had been established as a territory in 1838. This flag flew for a year with James Polk at the helm of the country. Wisconsin became a state on May 29, 1848, adding the 30th star to the U.S. flag less than 2 months later. Not all residents of Wisconsin were enthusiastic about statehood. They had rejected it 4 times previously because they were concerned statehood would mean higher taxes. This flag flew from 1848 to 1851 and saw James Polk, Zachary Taylor, and Millard Fillmore as heads of the country. Gold rush that began with the discovery of the precious metal in 1848 helped fast-track California into statehood in 1850. California became the 31st star on the American flag following July 4th. The admission of California fulfilled America's manifest destiny of a nation extending from sea to sea. It flew from 1851 to 1858 as Millard Fillmore, Franklin Pierce, and James Buchanan took turns being the head of our country at that time. And we have another commercial. Here we go. On the eve of the Civil War, Minnesota was admitted to the Union on May 11th, 1858, and represented as the 32nd state on the flag less than 2 months later. Minnesota was admitted as a free state. Yes, Texas. Yep, exactly. Ghost dog. This flag flew for a year with James Buchanan at the helm of the country. America's expansion surged to the northwest with the admission of Oregon on February 14th in 1859, adding a 33rd star to the flag the following July. Oregon, which had become a U.S. territory in 1848, was admitted as a free state, though its first 2 senators, Joseph Lane and Delazon Smith, were pro-slavery Democrats. This flag flew for 2 years with James Buchanan and Abraham Lincoln as heads of the country under its banner. 34 stars. Kansas became the 34th state to join the Union. Voter fraud over whether the state would be admitted as a slave state or a free state delayed its admission. Kansas joined the Union in January 29, 1861 as a free state, just as the southern states were seceding, and its star was represented on the flag 6 months later. This flag flew for 2 years, Abraham Lincoln being the head of our country at that time. Let's see, the 35-star U.S. flag. The onset of the Civil War did not halt the admission of states to the Union. The western part of Virginia was pro-Union and contained many abolitionists. It split from the rest of the state, which had seceded. President Abraham Lincoln was unsure about dividing Virginia and admitting the western portion as a separate state. He agreed to its admission on the grounds that West Virginia's action was an act of secession in favor of the Constitution. West Virginia joined the Union on June 20th, 1863, and a new flag on July 4th included the 35th state. This flag flew from 1863 to 1865 with Abraham Lincoln and Andrew Johnson as heads of the country at that time. Let me see here, 36 stars. The Civil War was engulfing the nation when Nevada was admitted as the 36th state on October 31st, 1864, and the 36th star on the U.S. flag following July. Nevada was pro-Union, and the President Abraham Lincoln saw Nevada's admission as a way to buttress support for the war. To speed up statehood, Nevada sent its entire state constitution to Washington, D.C., 175 pages by telegram. This flag flew from 1865 to 1867, with Andrew Johnson as the head of the country for that time. Nebraska was the first state to be admitted to the Union after the Civil War. After the Civil War, rapid economic development, accelerated by the growth of railroads, helped speed Nebraska's admission to the Union on March 1st, 1867, becoming the nation's 37th state and the 37th star on the flag. This flag flew from 1867 to 1877 with Andrew Johnson, Ulysses S. Grant, and Rutherford B. Hayes heading our country under that banner. Colorado, a territory that partially came with the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, became the 38th state to join the Union on August 1st, 1876. Colorado's admission had been vetoed by President Andrew Johnson, but President Ulysses S. Grant approved it. The 38-star flag would fly for 13 years, 1877 to 1890 to be exact, with Rutherford B. Hayes, James A. Garfield, Chester A. Arthur, Grover Cleveland, and Benjamin Harrison being presidents under that flag. 43 stars. A flurry of state admissions boosted the star total on the flag to 43. By July 4th, 1890, a statehood filled out the United States in the High Plains and the Far West. 5 states were admitted to the Union and 5 stars added to the flag. North and South Dakota, Montana, and Washington all in 1889, and Idaho in 1890. This flag flew for a year with Benjamin Harrison at the head of the country for that time. 6 states were admitted to the Union when President Benjamin Harrison was president, more than any other president. Wyoming, the last of the 6, boosting the number of stars on the flag to 44. Wyoming was admitted on July 10, 1890, even though it was 5,000 people short of the 60,000 person requirement to become a state. This flag flew from 1891 to 1896, with Benjamin Harrison and Grover Cleveland taking turns being the head of our president under this flag. Being the president of our country under that flag. Utah became a state on January 4th, 1896, and the 45th star of the flag later of that year. However, the area that would become Utah had been part of the United States since its nation received the territory as part of a treaty that ended the Mexican-American War in 1848. Mormons settled in the area, and their practice of polygamy prevented Utah from becoming a state until Mormons renounced polygamy in the state constitution. This flag flew from 1896 to 1908, with Grover Cleveland, William McKinley, and Theodore Roosevelt being presidents under these stars. Oklahoma became the first state to be admitted to the Union in the 20th century on November 16, 1907, taking its place on the U.S. flag as the 46th star the following year. The United States had used the Oklahoma Territory to resettle Native American people, but by the 19th century, Texas Rangers began moving northward, and the federal government decided to open up the territory to homesteaders. This flag flew from 1908 to 1912, with Theodore Roosevelt and William H. Taft being presidents under its stars. Here we go. The southwestern territories of New Mexico and Arizona were the last to join the 48 contiguous states. New Mexico became the 47th state on January 6, 1912, and Arizona attained statehood on February 14, 1912. The 48-star flag flew longer than any other flag before it, 47 years, and 8 presidents served under it. It flew from 1912 to 1959, and the presidents were as follows: William H. Taft, Woodrow Wilson, Warren Harding, Calvin Coolidge, Herbert Hoover, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Harry S. Truman, and Dwight D. Eisenhower. 49th, Alaska became the first non-contiguous territory to become a state on January 3rd, 1959, and the 49th star on the U.S. flag. Alaska, which was purchased from Russia in 1867, is 2.5 times the size of Texas, the second largest U.S. state. The 49-star flag was the last of the 9 flags to fly for just 1 year, and it did so under Eisenhower. Phew. Hawaii is the 50th state and joined the Union on August 21st, 1959. The 50-star flag has flown the longest of any U.S. flag, and in July it will have flown for 59 years. 12 presidents have served under this flag, including Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, Lyndon B. Johnson, Richard M. Nixon, Gerald R. Ford, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, Daddy Bush, William Clinton, Baby Bush, Barack Obama, and Donald Trump. And there you have it, the history of our U.S. flag. And I already went over the 56 people who signed the Declaration of Independence. We did that at the beginning of the stream. So, yep, there we go. Just kind of cycling through all the pictures. Carter Braxton, Charles Carroll of Carrollton, Samuel Chase, a commercial, Abraham Clark, George Clymer, William Ellery, William Floyd, Benjamin Franklin. So, yeah, these are all the portraits of all the dudes that signed it, minus the commercials, of course. And there was much rejoicing. Right, exactly. John Hancock, Benjamin Harrison. Here you go. There's 56 of them. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, our country has a very, very rich history. And as I stated at the beginning of the stream, for those of you that weren't here at the beginning, Rhetorical Entertainment did a reading of the Declaration of Independence, and they listed the grievances and responded to them last night. Both the P-Dog Night, Morning Night Live, and one other, I think P-Dog Night did a live reading, and Monkey in the Morning had a reading of the Declaration of Independence as well. Seeing how these three channels have already covered the reading of the Declaration of Independence, I decided to read about the history leading up to its penning and signing, as well as show you guys the people who signed the Declaration of Independence. Because a fourth reading probably would have been redundant right after the Morning Night Live, which is the show that ended just as I was beginning my show. So that would have been a little repetitive. Besides, if you guys do want a really good breaking down of the grievances and, a discussion of such grievances, go over to Rhetorical Entertainment. His stream may still be up. I'm not sure. If it isn't, then keep an eye out or go over to his channel. Mitch, if you could put the link to his channel in the chat, that would be swell. And yeah, that is it. That is where we are today. So never forget where you came from as an American. Never forget how we got here. Never forget the shot heard around the world or the problems that we had that led up to the Civil War. Good, bad, or indifferent, this country is one of the best countries in the entire world. With all our problems and infighting, we still have many freedoms that other countries do not have, and we need to cherish those freedoms and protect those freedoms, which is why we have a Second Amendment and why we have a military, to keep those freedoms free. You can't protect the First Amendment without the Second. Please never forget why the Bill of Rights is what it is, why we have a Constitution, and why the Declaration of Independence was penned. Our history should not be forgotten, revised, or deleted because nobody likes facts. It should be revered, it should be taught, and it should be passed down from generation to generation to keep history alive. You can't move forward without knowing where you started. And on that note, my friends, I thank you very much for coming. Don't forget, if you wish to contribute to the stream, all the links are below in the description. You guys have a wonderful, safe, and fun 4th of July, and I will see you tomorrow morning at 10:30 Central Standard Time for another morning